been severely beaten twice. Right now I'm just tired and I just want this to be over.
In the frozen hellscape of Russia's Arctic lies Polar Owl, a prison so brutal inmates call it the ice coffin. Temperatures here plunge to minus 50 degrees centigrade. Cells are crusted with ice, and survival hinges on enduring forced labor, starvation, and psychological torture. Built to silence dissent, Polar Owl houses Putin's enemies, journalists, activists, and anyone daring to challenge the Kremlin. This is the Arctic's darkest secret. A modern gulag where frostbite amputates limbs, hope freezes solid, and prisoners vanish into the tundra's endless white.
According to him, it's worse than hell.
The chilling reality of incarceration in Russia's Arctic prisons. Russia's Arctic prisons are purposeful tests of human endurance rather than just locations of detention. Polar Owl, located 1,200 miles northeast of Moscow in the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous Okrug, is a prime example of this cruelty. Here, temperatures frequently drop below minus 50 degrees centigrade in 2018. A low of minus 62 degrees was reported, which was cold enough to freeze exposed flesh in less than 5 minutes. Thin cotton gloves, threadbare coats from the Soviet period, and boots packed with crumpled newspaper for insulation are among the clothes given to prisoners, which are more appropriate for a warm fall day than an Arctic winter. Because frostbite is so common, the main service provided by the jail infirmary is amputation, which is done using rusty saws and pliers without the use of anesthetic. Ivan Petrov, a former prisoner who was imprisoned in 2019 for opposing election fraud, said of his first winter there, "During roll call, my cellmate's eyelids froze shut. He was forced to wait outdoors by the soldiers until his tears hardened to ice. As he pleaded for forgiveness, they laughed. As a quiet enforcer that guarantees conformity, the cold is armed. There is no way out. The tundra extends for hundreds of kilometers in all directions with no food nor shelter. Prisoners are mockingly reminded by guards that the Arctic will faster than we ever could." This is not hyperbole in 2021. A fugitive from a nearby colony was discovered frozen solid just 3 miles from the gates, his hand still holding a homemade map scrawled in his own blood. The intentional design of Polar Owl is a holdover from Soviet penology that was honed under Putin's rule, in which the government uses the deadly power of nature to quell opposition. Unveiling the secrets of Russia's harshest penal colony. Polar Owl works in secrecy and is not subject to international monitoring. Entry is prohibited to NGOs, journalists, and even the Red Cross. Leaked government documents, smuggled letters, and the terrifying testimonies of survivors provide what little is known. Inmates are prohibited from seeing pictures of their loved ones because they are considered emotional contraband, and letters are limited to 50 words and mercilessly filtered for any indication of opposition, according to a 2021 document cache that Novaya Gazeta was able to access. These papers exposed systemic dehumanization. A daily 300-gram slice of rock-hard bread and a tepid gruel of rotting potatoes and fish heads make up the meals, if they can be called such, which guarantees that inmates lose 9 to 12 kilos per month. Toilets are holes on cell floors that freeze over, leaving prisoners to lie in their own excrement. Sanitation is medieval. The prison's sole doctor, a former military physician without any professional training, fails to cure the widespread occurrence of diseases including sepsis, scurvy, and TB. Speaking under anonymity in 2023, a former guard said, "The state wants these people forgotten. We dispose of them in unmarked holes once they pass away. By dawn, everything is covered with snow. Families are left in constant uncertainty as they are never informed of the whereabouts of the detainees, demonstrating that this erasure goes beyond death." Polar Owl's existence is a testament to the Kremlin's strategy of silencing opposition through invisibility, ensuring that even in death, prisoners remain nameless, faceless, and utterly erased. Life behind bars in the Arctic. At Polar Owl, each day is a painstakingly planned cycle of misery. At 4 a.m., the sound of iron batons hitting cell doors wakes prisoners from restless slumber. The air inside the unheated barracks smells of mildew, perspiration, and feces, while the temperatures hover around minus 30 degrees centigrade. Pairs of inmates, chained at the ankles, are marched to outdoor quarries at 5 a.m., where they work 12-hour stints using pickaxes to chisel away at permafrost. Defiance results in punishments like the ice box, a steel container placed outside where prisoners are stripped down to their underwear and left until hypothermia sets in. Compliance wins an additional 100 grams of bread. Anna Ivanova, a former political prisoner who was detained in 2020 for planning climate demonstrations, described a graphic event. A man's foot was severed when his pickaxe slipped. He completed the amputation with a rusty nail to avoid being punished for slowing down work. His foot was thrown to the dogs by the guards. The silence rule weakens mental fortitude. Simply in agony is punishable by 30 days in a soundproof isolation cell. The voices of many prisoners are atrophied from lack of use, and they emerge catatonic. You forget what your own laugh sounds like, Oleg Kuznetsov wrote in a 2022 illegally released journal. The only sounds are the wind howling and the guards' boots on ice. Inmates gather on iron cots at night to share body heat and tattered blankets. The cries of those who are dying of madness, their brains shattered by cold and hopelessness, splinter sleep. From gulags to polar owl. The origins of polar owl may be traced back to Stalin's gulags, a massive system of forced labor camps in the Soviet Union that housed 18 million prisoners between 1930 and 1950. Drones and facial recognition have updated it, but its goal is still to use the Arctic's lethality as a tool for state control. Inmates at Polar Owl mine nickel and cobalt for state-owned companies like Norilsk Nickel, which powers Russia's military machine, whereas Stalin's gulags dug gold and lumber. Inmates are nonetheless dehumanized by guards, who now refer to them as snowmen, rather than Stalin's Zeeks. Putin's regime learned from Stalin. Control the cold, control the narrative, says historian Dr. Elena Samsonova, author of The Ice Coffin, Russia's Arctic Prisons. These jails are about horror, not justice or rehabilitation. The similarities between the two systems are horrifying. They both employed forced labor, malnutrition, and medical neglect to silence critics. However, Polar Owl's technical innovations render escape even less practical. Drones search the tundra for heat signatures and attack dogs. Motion sensors and thermal cameras monitor the perimeter. Even the snow has eyes here, Sagard claimed in a leak from 2021. The one significant distinction? Stalin's gulags were promoted as re-education. Polar Owl's existence is categorically denied, and its victims vanish into the icy solitude of the Arctic. The untold stories of those who endure. Polar Owl survivors bear psychological and physical wounds that never go away. A blogger who was imprisoned in 2017 for opposing Putin's re-election, Alexei Volkov, exchanged his wedding band for one rotting potato. When I was released, my wife didn't recognize me, he stated. I weighed 48 kilograms and half my teeth were gone. Due to frostbite, environmental activist Marina Petrova, who was imprisoned in 2020 for opposing Arctic oil development, lost both of her legs. She now advocates for prison reform after being confined to a wheelchair. They told me I'd die there. This life is a ghost of what it used to be, and I wish I had. The Ice Diaries, a compilation of writings smuggled out by prisoners, include the most eerie stories. Oleg Kuznetsov wrote in one note about the wild 1990s, when guards ignored cannibalism, "We ate the dead to survive." "Now you are no better than animals," the guards said with a grin. Trauma endures a lifetime for survivors. According to a 2022 Human Rights Watch report, 43% of people attempt suicide after being released, and 78% have PTSD. Many are detained again on false pretenses, such as historian Yuri Dmitriev, who was imprisoned for revealing mass graves from the Stalin era. Dmitriev penned, "Polar Owl isn't a sentence," prior to his passing in 2023. It's a life erased. Polar Owl, where Russia houses its most dangerous. Chechen insurgents, Ukrainian prisoners of war, and political dissidents like Ildar Dadin, whose detention for nonviolent rallies in 2015 provoked international outcry, are among individuals the Kremlin believes are beyond redemption and are imprisoned by Polar Owl. Smuggled to his wife, Dadin's writings described how he was hanged nude in minus 45 degrees centigrade. winds till his flesh peeled and burned. They wanted me to beg for death, he wrote, but I survived to tell the world. Additionally, the facility houses foreign threats, such as 14 Ukrainian troops who were taken prisoner during the siege of Mariupol and tortured to get information on Azov battalion tactics. Women are not spared. Yulia Tsvetkova, a feminist activist who was imprisoned in 2022 for spreading LGBT propaganda, claimed that she was forced to take psychiatric medications in order to cure her orientation. The message is clear: if you oppose the state, you will disappear into the abyss of the Arctic. Even the dead are used as weapons. Alexei Navalny's family was threatened with his burial at Polar Owl in 2023 unless they consented to a private funeral. According to Yulia, Navalny's wife, they want him to disappear into the ice. But we will never stop fighting. The psychological and physical toll. The bitter cold of the Arctic is only one layer of suffering. To destroy identity, Polar Owl uses psychological warfare. Inmates subjected to white torture are kept in all-white cells with fluorescent lights on all the time, which causes them to see phantom people in snowstorms that are blinding. The Arctic's inherent quiet is accentuated by a sound deprivation. Inmates to phantom friends after months without human communication. To destroy optimism, guards set up intricate charades, including phony parole hearings and counterfeit pardon letters. As survivor Dmitry Sokolov remembered, they would shout my name, make me plead for mercy, then laugh and say, "Just joking." Scurvy rots gums and loosens teeth, while TB sufferers cough up blood-tinged ice. Medical negligence exacerbates the pain. Hacksaw amputations are carried out without anesthetic, and vodka is treated for infected wounds by pouring it straight into exposed skin. You stop feeling human, Yuri Dmitriev in his writing. You're just meat waiting to freeze. Notable inmates of Polar Owl. The roster of Polar Owl resembles a list of Putin's adversaries. Journalist Vladimir Kara-Murza, who was poisoned twice for opposing the conflict in Ukraine, is currently serving a 25-year sentence for treason. He won't live, according to his wife Evgenia, who says they're slowly killing him, as they did Navalny. Leonid Volkov and Maria Pevchik, two of Alexei Navalny's friends, are facing 15 and 12 years in prison, respectively, for their investigations into Putin's palace. The regime's crackdown on environmental opposition is highlighted by the Arctic 12, climate experts imprisoned for disclosing state-sponsored wildfires. They even target foreigners. Vladimir Bukovsky, a British-Russian journalist who was detained in 2021 on suspicion of espionage, passed away in prison under suspicious circumstances. Smuggled to his daughter, his last letter said, "Tell the world the Arctic hides our graves." Inside Russia's Polar Owl prison, surviving minus 50 degrees centigrade. It takes ghoulish cunning to survive here. During body heat rotations, prisoners exchange shifts as their outer layers freeze in an effort to stay warm. Bread and cigarettes are the mainstays of the underground market. A nail clipper for do-it-yourself amputations costs 3 days' worth of rations. Reciting poetry, mentally reconstructing one's childhood home, and making tally marks on walls are examples of mental resistance techniques. Irina Volkova, a survivor, stated, "I rebuilt my grandmother's kitchen brick by brick. It was the only way to stay sane." But death is always a threat. For small transgressions, guards have prisoners stand nude in the snow and wager vodka on who passes out first. The ice garden, a mass grave beneath the permafrost, serves as a grisly reminder of mortality. "The ground never thaws," wrote Oleg Kuznetsov. "Bodies pile up like firewood, preserved for eternity." Surviving Siberia, the brutal existence in Polar Owl. The loss of time itself is Polar Owl's greatest terror. Days become a never-ending white nightmare when there are no clocks, calendars, or sunshine. Inmates use the onset of frostbite or the infrequent death of a guard to indicate the passing of time. A 5-year term feels like a lifetime, and a lifetime feels like an eternity. Sentences bleed into abstraction. Names are taken away from prisoners, and they are solely identified by the numbers that are inscribed on their clothing. "You don't serve time here," survivor Dmitry Sokolov clarified. "Time serves you until it kills you." Even in death, there is no escape thanks to the permafrost. Bodies in the ice garden stay frozen, kept as hideous reminders of the brutality of the state. More than just a prison, Polar Owl is a place where people are exterminated, and the Arctic's never-ending winter serves as both an executioner and a jailer. Polar Owl stands as a harrowing symbol of the Kremlin's ruthlessness, a place where dissent is buried beneath ice and silence. Yet, as survivors speak and leaks pierce the Arctic's veil, the world can no longer look away. Share this story. Demand UN investigations. Remember the names erased by the snow: Kara-Murza, Dadin, Navalny, and the countless unknowns whose voices were stolen by the cold. The Arctic's winter may be endless, but the fight for justice must burn hotter.